Ava, UX, more like useless excuse, my sister Chloe drawled, the clinking of champagne glasses punctuating her words. The Denver Country Club buzzed with polite chatter, the scent of lilies heavy in the air. My stomach dropped. They celebrated Chloe's engagement. My hands trembled beneath the linen tablecloth. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I remained composed. She always was better at settling, my mother cooed, patting Chloe's hand. Years of achievements dismissed. A text vibrated in my pocket. Sterling Ventures signed off. Seattle called. Ever felt that sting? Subscribe for the sweet taste of revenge. Trust me, you won't want to miss how a simple cross-country move turned everything around. Let's just say karma's a UX designer. The Christmas of 1992 stands out, a stark tableau etched in my memory. Chloe received a gleaming, white pony, Snowflake, she promptly named it, complete with a custom saddle and a stable stocked with hay that smelled of sunshine and open fields. I received a second-hand encyclopedia, its pages brittle and yellowed, my father proclaiming, "Education is the real gift, Ava." Snowflake became Chloe's symbol, a testament to her effortless charm. The encyclopedia, mine, a reminder of the practical path chosen for me. I remember the scent of manure mixing with pine needles that Christmas, the sound of snowflakes hooves a constant reminder of what wasn't mine. Later, in high school, the pattern continued. College applications became a battlefield of unspoken expectations. Chloe, artistic and seemingly incapable of managing her finances, was gifted a brand new car, a sleek red convertible for commuting to art classes, while my request for help with SAT prep courses was met with a raised eyebrow and the advice to study harder. I did, of course, and secured a scholarship to a good school, but the sting remained. I had to earn what was freely given to Chloe. The scent of new car leather always reminded me of the disparity. The final straw happened during my wedding dress fitting. As I stood before the mirror, adjusting the lace of my gown, Chloe burst into the room, declaring she was just stopping by. It quickly became clear her visit was no accident. "Don't you think it's a little much?" she asked, her eyes scanning me with calculated disdain. The dress, which I loved, suddenly felt heavy, like a costume I didn't deserve. My mother, ever the peacemaker, chimed in, "Maybe something simpler would suit you better, Ava. Chloe always had a better eye for these things." I left the boutique empty-handed. "I don't know how to help you," I said to myself. That night, I knew the marriage was doomed. The decision solidified as my father crossed the threshold of my minimalist Seattle apartment. The scent of Denver clung to him, a cloying mix of stale coffee and forced optimism. He was here to break me, to drag me back into the familiar cycle of obligation and guilt. I stood firm, the polished concrete floor a silent testament to my resolve. In those early days, silence was my shield. While Lucas's auto shop spiraled into debt, fueled by his gambling addiction, and Chloe lamented her difficult pregnancy, I poured my energy into work. The first major milestone arrived when I spearheaded the UX redesign for a major healthcare provider, streamlining their patient portal and earning rave reviews. My family remained oblivious, their world shrinking as mine expanded. They saw a failed marriage. I built a foundation. I intentionally kept my distance, the silence growing into a carefully constructed wall. There was a strategic advantage to their assumptions, to their continued belief that I was struggling. Let them wallow in their self-pity. I was too busy building my empire, brick by painstaking brick. Then came the promotion to UX design director. The second milestone was when my work was featured in a leading industry journal. No fanfare, no family celebration, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing I was exceeding expectations. But that's fine, I told myself, because I did this for myself. The potential for revelation hung heavy in the air, thick as the Seattle fog. The tension crackled as I listened to my father's carefully rehearsed plea, each word a calculated attempt to manipulate me. My heart pounded, but my voice remained steady. I would not break. I would not falter. This was my life, my success, and they would not take it from me. The third milestone arrived last month, an offer to consult for Google. My salary tripled, my influence grew, and my family, they still saw the same old Ava, the one they could dismiss and disregard. The irony was not lost on me. No acknowledgement, no congratulations, no nothing, but I realized it was no surprise and no longer mattered. That's when I started to feel free. Months later, an embossed invitation arrived, Chloe's baby's christening. My mother predictably called, her voice laced with a saccharine sweetness that set my teeth on edge. Ava, darling, it would mean so much family. I almost hung up, but something stopped me. This was their turf, their game. I would play, but on my terms. I accepted, a subtle shift rippling through the carefully constructed silence. Preparation was key. I booked a spa appointment, meticulously planned my wardrobe, a tailored black dress, understated yet powerful, and a pair of Louboutins that whispered of success. I studied their social media, observing the cracks in their facade, Lucas's forced smiles, Chloe's strained posture, the lingering shadows of financial strain. Knowledge was power. The day arrived, crisp and sunny, a deceptive facade mirroring the scene I was about to enter. As I pulled into the driveway of my parents' Denver home, the familiar scent of freshly cut grass and simmering resentment filled the air. The house, once a symbol of suburban bliss, now looked worn, its paint peeling, the garden overgrown. I parked my Tesla, a stark contrast to the aging minivan parked beside it. Inside, the house buzzed with activity. Relatives I hadn't seen in years offered hesitant greetings, their eyes filled with a mixture of curiosity and judgment. Chloe, holding her baby, looked tired, her face pale beneath a layer of makeup. Lucas stood beside her, his eyes darting nervously around the room. My mother rushed forward, embracing me with an enthusiasm that felt forced. Ava, darling, you look wonderful. I smiled politely, offering a carefully rehearsed compliment about the baby. The air thrummed. I'm not the same I thought, and they have no idea. The priest's droning voice faded into background noise as I approached Chloe and Lucas. Congratulations, I said, my voice even. Chloe's smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of apprehension. Lucas shifted uncomfortably, avoiding eye contact. So Ava, Chloe began, her tone laced with a familiar condescension, still playing around with those little computer games. Mockery dripped from her tone. It was on. I took a sip of champagne, the bubbles dancing on my tongue. Actually, Chloe, I replied, my voice calm and measured, I just closed a deal with Sterling Ventures. I will be leading a new digital accessibility team. A beat of silence hung in the air, thick with disbelief. Chloe's mouth opened slightly, her painted lips forming a silent O. Lucas's eyes widened, his gaze snapping to mine with a sudden, desperate intensity. My mother, who had been hovering nearby, gasped audibly, the sound cutting through the murmur of the crowd. I pressed on, the words flowing effortlessly. The board was so impressed, they've offered me equity in the company, a corner office overlooking the Puget Sound, and full support to create a new UX system for the entire state. The color drained from Chloe's face. She swayed slightly, clutching the baby tighter. Lucas's jaw tightened, his knuckles turning white as he gripped his champagne glass. My father, standing at the edge of the group, stared at me, his eyes wide with shock. He actually looked sick. Oh, and that Google offer I mentioned, I accepted. I'll be consulting on their next-generation wearable tech division. I paused for effect, letting the information sink in. The budget for that project alone, it's more than Lucas's entire business ever made. The room seemed to tilt. Chloe's eyes welled with tears, her carefully constructed composure crumbling. Lucas stumbled backward, knocking over a nearby table, sending glasses crashing to the floor. My mother rushed to Chloe's side, her face a mask of concern and confusion. But you never said anything, Chloe stammered, her voice barely a whisper. We thought we assumed, I smiled, a genuine, unburdened smile that reached my eyes. You assumed wrong. The power shifted. The air crackled with a new energy. I was no longer the overlooked daughter, the failed wife, the one to be pitied. I was a force to be reckoned with, a woman who had risen above their petty judgments and built a life of unparalleled success. I placed my champagne glass on a nearby table. Enjoy the christening, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. I have a plane to catch. And with that, I walked away, the scent of lilies and shattered expectations clinging to the air. I could feel their eyes on me, burning with a mixture of disbelief, envy, and resentment. I wanted to savor their dismay. A week later, the phone rang. It was my father. Ava, we need to talk. About what, Daniel? I asked, using his first name deliberately. The fact that I'm not the failure you all thought I was. We're struggling, Ava. Lucas, things aren't going well. You laughed then. You're not laughing now. I paused. I'm not a bank, Daniel. I'm done enabling this cycle. My mother cut in, her voice sharp. How can you be so heartless? Chloe is struggling. Did either of you care when I struggled? When Lucas cheated on me, when you blamed me, silence. I replied, I recall quite clearly the words you drove him away. My mother sputtered, that's not enough. I have a restraining order pending. Contact me again and I'll file charges. Goodbye. I hung up, the click echoing in the silence of my apartment. Later, Chloe texted, Ava, please, we need help, just a small loan. I stared at the message, a wave of nausea washing over me. Small to them meant thousands. I typed a response, consider this your inheritance. Use it wisely. What do you mean? She texted back, almost instantly. I blocked her number. The silence that followed was deafening, but this time it was my choice. It was my power. Then came the call from Ms. Alvarez, my lawyer. Ava, I've reviewed the documents, she said, her voice crisp and professional. There's something you need to know about Sterling Ventures. A chill ran down my spine. This was the hammer blow. It appears, she continued, that your father, Daniel Harding, holds a significant portion of Sterling Ventures stock. It's held indirectly through a trust, but he's the primary beneficiary. I sat bolt upright, the world spinning slightly. The years collapsed. All the stress, the tears, the sacrifice, all for them. He owns part of my company, I breathed, the words catching in my throat. Essentially, yes, he benefits substantially from your success. His stock value has increased exponentially because of your work. Ms. Alvarez continued, ironically, the digital accessibility system you are architecting for Colorado actually is what is propping up their stock value. A strange calm descended. The pieces clicked into place. I wasn't just a UX designer, I was their unwitting sugar mama. There's more, Ms. Alvarez said, her voice taking on a harder edge. The trust agreement stipulates that if Daniel declares bankruptcy, the stock reverts to Sterling Ventures, but with a massive penalty payable to Daniel's creditors. A penalty Sterling Ventures simply cannot afford. She paused. Essentially, Daniel's financial health is inextricably linked to Sterling Ventures' success, and your success is Sterling Ventures' success. I had them by the throat. I closed my eyes, a slow smile spreading across my face. It was more beautiful than I could have ever imagined. So, I said softly, if Daniel goes bankrupt, Sterling Ventures goes down with him. Precisely. The possibilities flooded my mind. The leverage, the control, it was breathtaking. Ms. Alvarez, I said, my voice regaining its strength, I want to explore all options. Every single one. Later that evening, I received a frantic call from my father. Ava, please, you don't understand. We're going to lose everything. Panic seized him. His financial situation was critical. He could be facing the end of his life. I understand perfectly, Daniel, I replied, my voice devoid of emotion. You made your choices. Now you face the consequences. But Sterling Ventures is irrelevant, I interrupted, my voice cold as ice. What matters is that I am done. I am no longer your safety net. Consider this the final lesson. He hung up defeated. The sound of the dial tone echoed in the silence of my apartment. I rose and looked out at the Seattle skyline. The city lights twinkled like stars, each one a testament to my resilience, my strength, my power. They didn't want me, but my ability to succeed was the only thing keeping them afloat. They didn't realize that Snowflake, the pony, had grown into a unicorn, and its horn was pointed directly at them. They had no idea I had this level of power. And soon, they would learn that Karma was not just a UX designer, she was a stockholder. Months drifted into a year. Whispers and strained overtures for reconciliation came, filtered through distant relatives, all rebuffed. A hollow apology arrived from Daniel, quickly followed by a plea for financial assistance, met with silence. My therapist helped me realize that forgiveness without changed behavior is self-betrayal. My Seattle life flourished. Promotions came, alongside genuine friendships and a newfound sense of belonging. I purchased a small cabin on the San Juan Islands, its scent of cedar and salt air a balm to my soul. The old anxiety diminished, replaced by a calm strength, a quiet confidence. It was no longer about external validation but internal worth. I went to therapy and discovered how to enjoy life. Looking back, I recognize the scars remain, but they no longer define me. I now see the freedom to choose Trump's blood. Finally, I found peace. That's my story, but isn't there someone in your life that reminds you of my family? You can taste the sweet victory, too. Share this and know it's okay to choose you. Own your success, forget revenge.